I have acquired the very rare Captain Pollution figure in the Captain Planet toy line, likely from approximately 1992. Another one that's allegedly a European-only release. So any images of the packaging are in other languages like German, Italian, Spanish. But there would be one from the UK, so it would be in English. Here's video proof of an old lady banging around one.
Action figures, like here's Captain Pollution, who's gonna fight with Captain Planet.
I don't know what was going on there, but I wish I could have had that. This is one I really would have wanted to have as a kid, desperately. My favorite two-part episodes of the show I had on VHS, recorded off of TV. They would make their evil copies of the Planeteers' rings, and finally ponder what would happen if they did the same power combining, and then out comes Captain Pollution. So we'll go over the features and everything of this figure. Taking a look at the face, that is actually a lot like the show in the face, except we've got purple hair instead of the red that would be in the cartoon. But I like the kind of winged, almost like horned hair, so that's a lot like what he would look like in the cartoon. The split planet logo, very much from the show. Even these like blobs of goo on him, actually he looked like this in the show, except these are green on the figure. So they had these extra colors they've added, green and purple, even though this yellow skin and the kind of reddish for the clothes would have been more accurate for the show. So somebody was getting their design on making the action figure. But otherwise it's just a standard 5-point figure from the line. Again, it's hard to come by, so I just had to get a hold of one that I could. This one's a little kind of loose on the head, but in decent shape here. So for accessories, he did come with a little green trash can kind of accessory that I don't have here, but it wasn't really worth hunting down a complete one since people will list them for outrageous prices. So no little trash can, not a big deal. The important accessory here is on the back because it's related to his feature that we'll have to check out and see here. It's just kind of a plug piece. And you can see that there was holes on the front of his chest here, and you can see them through here. It just slides into place, kind of completes the back imagery, but he has this like handle. And that's because he also came with a third accessory, which was packets of the instant sludge that a few of the Captain Planet toys came with. Some toxic waste slime you could mix with water. 5 packages coming with Sly Sludge's action figure, because he also came with a little toxic waste can that you kind of put the sludge in after you mixed it up. Kind of like Captain Pollution here had his little green trash can. So I would imagine if Sly Sludge came with 5 packets, Captain Pollution probably came with 5 packets as well. There's also kind of a dump playset that would have came with even more packages, because you could kind of fill a whole tray to dump on characters. So there's a few ways to get this slime, and one of them was Captain Pollution. But again, you'd use them all up and then you couldn't do the feature anymore. Back when these came out, we didn't have all the fancy glue recipes for slimes and stuff, so you had to really rely on these mixes. The problem is when you open these up, they're all dried out. It should be a powder that you just easily mix with water, but if you really hammer on it and chop it up, you can mix up a batch of it, even with the very old packages. So this is the real slime that came with the Captain Planet figures, mixed back up. I know a lot of people just use any old slime to show this stuff, but I want to show the authentic thing if at all possible, which it is. I have my spoon! So we can see the consistency. This is how it was back then. This kind of, maybe the color would have been a little darker green, potentially, but this does look a little more toxic wasty. But it just makes this very thick goop substance for the little toxic waste play. So we will open his little tab there, put some toxic waste in, and see the feature here of the toxic waste shooting out of the holes in the chest. Pretty inventive way to do that. I guess it beats being a real thick like backpack that you'd fill with it, and then it would be so thick it wouldn't really, you'd get stuck in there. This was probably the easiest way that you could open this up, clean it out when you were done, get the slime out of there. So you could kind of do an attack on Captain Planet, kind of shooting the toxic waste out of his chest this way. Probably the smartest way to have him shoot the toxic waste because of the easy cleanup. interesting way to do it. Again, even Sly Sludge just had his canister. He didn't have any way to utilize the toxic waste at all. The instant sludge. Despite the inaccuracies with the color, just kind of the added design, it does kind of look cooler on the shelf as a toy this way. So I get what they were kind of going for. I would have probably just preferred like the show, but as a collectible now, and I'm looking back on these old toys, it's going to look really great with my massive collection of all the Captain Planet action figures I've been collecting. A ton that I had as a kid and played with, like, a lot. Because I really loved the cartoon. Just kind of the superhero-y elements of the kids having the super-powered rings. So they had their powers they could do to solve problems and things. And then summoning the kind of group combined superhero of Captain Planet. And then the old classic trope of the doppelganger, you know, the evil copy here with Captain Pollution. We did make a little comeback way later in the new adventures of Captain Planet, which had its own extremely rare action figures as well. So definitely a holy grail getting this to really like top off my Captain Planet collection. But there's plenty of other super rare figures from Captain Planet and tons of other 90s action figures that I like to open up here. Like to show what I had as a kid, and when I get new things to kind of complete my collection. It's just fun to see everything get put together after all this time. Stuff that I always wished I had as a kid, finally getting it just to have an awesome collection. So if that's the kind of stuff you like, and if you're hearing this, you got to the end of the video, you must. Maybe click the channel down below and cruise around through the playlist. See some more awesome stuff just like this.